morning and welcome back to my class. I'm Miss Rupali. I'm going to continue your history session. Today we will be continuing with the fourth chapter. Before I start my fourth chapter, let me discuss what we had discussed in the third chapter. We had discussed about the three types of nationalists. That was your early nationalist, then it were the assertives, and then the last was your third one were your Gandhian era. We discussed about all these three over there. Now in this chapter, we will be discussing about the second phase of Indian national movement, that is here from 1905 to 1916. Now what we are going to discuss in this chapter is the scope and the syllabus, that is the brief mention of the causes of the partition of Bengal, government's version and the nationalist perspective. A brief mention of Surat split which happened in 1907, the objectives and methods of struggle of the assertive nationalist. Any two contributions of the following extremists we are going to discuss about the radicals, the assertive nationalists. Here we are going to discuss about Lala Rajpat Rai, Bal Gandharva Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal. Okay. First of all, we had discussed in our early chapter the early nationalists. Who were the early nationalists? They were the educated lot, they were the doctors, they were the lawyers who realized, who were in favor of the crown or the Britishers, and who believed that they were what the Britishers were, the policies and their reforms were also favorable, but at certain economic and other socio-religious things were hindrances in their reforms. So here now in this lesson we will be speaking about the assertives. The assertives were the one or the nationalists who were not very much in favor or not of the same opinion of the early nationalists. Their reforms were different, their movement was a different, the methods of propaganda, the methods of awareness creating in the people were a little different. So we will be discussing this in this chapter. Okay, before that let me tell you what were the instance we are going to discuss today. First of all, Lord Curzon, the viceroy's scheme of the partition of Bengal. Lord Curzon was in tenure of the British administrative rule during this time. He was the one who implemented or who proposed the partition of Bengal, because there was a lot of nationalism reforms which were burning issue during that time. And then the Britishers thought it is better to divide and rule. So the divide and rule policy was applied in Bengal over there, and since the nationalism, Bengal was the place for the heart of nationalism, then they came up with this proposal of dividing the Bengal. So it was during the tenure of Lord Curzon that this was implemented. The presidency of Bengal was thickly populated province in British India. It had a population of 18 million extended over a huge geographical area. Lord Curzon announced the division of the province of Bengal into two provinces. That is, one Bengal, non-Bengali province, that is a Calcutta would have been the capital, and then the Eastern Bengal and Assam, which had majority of population of Muslim province, and Dhaka as a capital. Now this scheme was implemented on October 16, 1905, and it was called as the Partition of Bengal. Okay, this partition led to a lot of discomfort amongst the huge masses of Bengal. The nationalists, both the early nationalists and the assertives, did not agree to this reform or did not agree to this partition. They were not very happy with this partition. And they opposed this petition which was there. They opposed this policy of partition. Now, let's see the reasons what it was there. The British said that the province of Bengal is too big, geographically and population wise, to be properly administered by a single provincial government. Therefore, for better administration, they proposed the partition of Bengal. So coming over here, what was the reason? What did the government at that time say? Why was this partition done? They said that Bengal is a very big place and administering it was very difficult. So for their convenience of administering, they split the Bengal into two provinces. This was the explanation given by the British, but this was not true. The real truth was that they wanted the divide and rule over there. They divided the people of there at the name of religion, at the name of province, at the name of different category of people over there according to the territory. This was the reason over there. They didn't want all the people, all the religions, all the caste and all the different categories of people to come together and fight against the Britishers. So they applied the divide and rule in the Bengal partition also. Okay, coming to the partition of Bengal, nationalist perspective. British government's plan had hidden reasons. These included Bengal was the nerve center of Indian nationalism and they wanted to stop and weaken the tide of nationalism by partitioning Bengal. The plan included to place Bengalis under two administrations and to reduce Bengalis to a minority in Bengal itself. They wanted to divide us on the basis of religion. East Bengal and Assam would have Muslim majority and Bengal would have Hindu majority. So now what the nationalists understood out of this was, they understood that Bengal was divided. It was divided for a reason. Now what reason is this? The reason was that Bengal was the heart of nationalism. If you try and recollect, the majority of trade, majority of literature, majority of development, schools, colleges, everything uprised from Bengal. The Britishers had a majority stake, a majority place in the Bengal economy. So it was found that the nationalism was uprising in Bengal. So the Britishers realized this, that it was a threat for their rule over there and they wanted to stop this nationalism over there. And they came up with this idea of splitting it with the help of splitting Mizoram and a part of Bengal into the Muslim province and the remaining as a Bengal. So they wanted to split so that the Bengalis would, or the Bengal province will become a minority province. They didn't want a strong province to be over there and the uprising of the nationalism to take or to nurture over here. So these were the main reasons why the Bengal was split during that time at the tenure of Lord Curzon. Okay, let's see the people's reaction and impact of the partition of Bengal. October 16, 1905 was a day of national mourning. Bande Mataram, written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, became the theme song of national movement. Tagore composed Amar Sonar Bangla song, which was sung by huge crowds. Hindus and Muslims on Raksha Bandhan tied Rakhis on each other's wrists as a symbol on unity of Bengalis and the two halves of the Bengals. It was a mass movement. In 1905, ideas of Swadeshi and boycott were born. The plan of partition backfired as it added strength to the national movement. Assertive nationalists took the charge from the early nationalists to lead the national movement. So the Bengal partition was a major, commotion, or the major thing which had happened during that time. It disturbed the whole large masses of people over there, the common people, the Bengalis over there, the nationalists over there, all got affected by this. They didn't want this Bengal to be parted parted into two provinces. So after this, there was a lot of retaliation from the normal people, the common people, the nationalists and all. And they opposed this policy, they opposed this petition which was made to for Bengal to be divided into two. And then there was a new era which started over there, an era of retaliation. All the common people, all the nationalists started retaliating. They went against the policies of the British. Now there was a new type of movement which was forming, a new type of movement was being born over here. The people started realizing the discrimination by the Britishers and what the Britishers intended and why the Britishers intended the partition of Bengal. Here not only this, but the Bande Mataram, this slogan became very famous during that time, and it was by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee who propaganda this Bande Mataram over here. And even Rabindranath Tagore, who was from that era, who was a witness of all the British colonial rule, he also wrote a lot of poems and lot of stories in which the discrimination of the Britishers and the Indians who were deprived of their liberties was expressed in his writing. And then he came out with a very beautiful Sonar Bangla song which became very famous in Bengal over there. Apart from that, now the Swadeshi and boycott. The Swadeshi and boycott movement was rising up. It started nurturing, it started building up the Swadeshi movement and the boycott movement. And then the early nationalists who were in favor of the crown or who were in favor of the Britishers, who had a very moderate and mild way of expression, had to take a backstage. Now the assertive started taking the place of this early nationalists. Their movement, their speeches, their expression started building up stronger and stronger. So let us see what are the methods and this thing. Okay, just a small listing. Our nation is divided over here by Swaraj and two branches. This was expressed by Tilak. Okay, then came the Surat split in 1907. It's a major drawback or major break in the Indian National Congress, which had a party of early nationalist and assertive nationalist. Now let me tell you what the Surat split was. The Surat split in 1907, the differences between the early nationalists and assertive nationalists were growing. Early nationalists wanted the Swadeshi and boycott movement to be restricted to Bengal only. Assertive nationalists wanted to extend it to the rest of India. At the Calcutta session in 1906, early nationalists and assertive nationalists cleared their differences and together opposed the partition of Bengal. Dadabhai Naoroji, who was equally respected by early nationalists and assertive nationalists, was finally made the president of INC, that is the Indian National Congress, at the Calcutta session in 1906. So now let me tell you what is here. Now, as we have discussed in our early chapters, that the early nationalist and the assertive nationalist, there were two types of nationalists over here, and these two nationalists finally merged as one movement. They all were from different places, different areas, territory, and with different reasons or issues were highlighted. But finally they all came under one movement, that is under one category or one head, one brand, that is the Congress. And now here, since after this Bengal partition, the difference of opinion started erupting in this Congress. This Congress consisted of the early nationalists as well as the assertives. Now here, as I've told you earlier, that the early nationalists were little mild. They were the educated lot, and who put up issues front of the Britishers with the help of petitions, with the help of discussions, with the help of all judiciary methods and all. But here the assertives were not in favor of these methods. They opposed this method. So then now this whole Congress, the assertives and the early nationalists, there was a disagreement amongst both of this. But as we know that Dadabhai Naoroji, he is called the old man of our nation, he was the one of the earliest nationalists, or he is called the father of the nationalism in our country. So he resolved it, and even the early nationalists and even the assertives, both of them would respect him. They would agree to whatever he would say. They would be with his opinion. So here Dadaji intervened between these things, and it was resolved over there, and there was the president of the National Congress, Indian National Congress, had to be elected, and it was found that Dadaji Naoroji was elected or was given concern for the president of this Indian National Congress. Now coming to the next point, there was a disagreement over the candidature of the next president of Indian National Congress at Surat in 1907. The difference surfaced as early nationalists proposed Rashtra Bihari Ghosh's name, and assertive nationalists proposed Lala Lajpat Rai's name as the next president of Indian National Congress. So these two, as I have told you, there was a difference between the early nationalists and the assertives. One proposed the Rashtra Bihari Ghosh's name, and the other proposed Lala Lajpat Rai's name over there. This caused complete confusion at the Surat session in 1907. This led to the split in the Indian National Congress. Assertive nationalists were expelled from Indian National Congress for 9 years. They remained out of Indian National Congress. The split was unfortunate as it had weakened the Indian national movement. British took advantage of this situation, and then they openly supported early nationalists and Muslims and suppressed assertive nationalists. So finally what happened over here was, because of the internal problems, because of the internal differences, the early nationalists and the assertives split, and the Indian National Congress became very weak. And when it became very weak, the Britishers took advantage of this situation, and they started supporting the early nationalists, and which was like the early nationalists supported the Muslim province over here. So by this the whole movement weakened, and the Britishers succeeded in their in their strategy. Now coming to the objective of the assertive nationalists. The ultimate objective of assertive nationalists was Swaraj and self-government. Now, as we told you that the assertive nationalists were a little more stronger, their speeches were stronger, their reforms were stronger, their movements were stronger, their issues also were stronger over there. And then their movement started taking shape. Their movement started burning during that time. And they came out with some methods. Now let us see what the methods was. The first one was revivalism. Assertive nationalists revived self-respect by referring to India's past glory. These leaders planned the national movement on people's religious beliefs. Tilak revived Shivaji festival in 1895. Chandragupta Vikramaditya, Rana Pratap and Shivaji were presented as national heroes to inspire the masses to fight for their country. Now what this is assertive nationalists do? They took the help of national heroes or religious heroes like Shivaji Maharaj or Rana Pratap, and they inspired the people. They said, look, how did Shivaji fight for his country? How did the other heroes fight for the country? You also have to fight for the country. You have to get Swaraj. So these are the things they inspired. They told the masses over there, and they inspired them and they influenced them to go against the Britishers, and they brought awareness among the people about their liberties and their rights over here. And coming to the next method of their thing is your national education. Many national educational institutes were started during this period. They taught secular education, moral education, political education, vocational industrial education. A large number of national schools were started to include students in the national movement. These colleges included DAV College, Bengal National College. So a lot of schools and colleges started during this time so that they could educate the majority of the people and tell them their rights and what they need to fight for. So education was one of the methods of this nationalists. They wanted majority of the people to be educated, and they propagandaed all these secularism with the help of this education. Swadeshi. Coming to the next method is Swadeshi. Swadeshi means of one's own country, to produce and use things made in India. It promoted indigenous industries to strengthen the nation. It increased the feeling of self-respect, self-reliance and self-support. So what the movement included was Swadesh. They said, buy Indian, be Indian. So you are going to produce from India and buy things the way we are doing now. We are banning a lot of Chinese products in our country. The same way, even they said they didn't want to buy anything produced by the Britishers. So they wanted to stop buying this thing. They wanted to be more of India. So this movement took quite a lot of fire over there. And if we try to recollect, even the Veer Savarkar in our Pune, we had this one incident over here near Deccan Karve Road, that we burnt all the goods which were produced by the Britishers. So this movement took lot of light, and like fire it spread throughout the country. And the next movement is to boycott. To boycott means to give up foreign goods, services and titles. A fourfold program of boycott included boycott of English clothes, salt, sugar, etc., rejection of speaking in English, rejection of government posts and seats, social boycott of people who purchased foreign goods. So there was this movement where all things which were made by Britishers or by foreign were rejected. They were not purchased at all. This movement took shape. And then, not speaking of English also was boycotted over here. Now, there was a passive resistance. Assertive believes in non-violent resistance and vigorous political action to achieve their aims. They asked Indians to refuse to cooperate with the government and boycott government services, courts, schools and colleges. You can see the missing over here in a diagram where all these methods are used by the thing is mentioned by assertives is mentioned. Okay, come in this lesson I want to sum up by saying about some one or two nationalists, the assertives who were there during their time and the achievements what they had achieved. Let's speak about India's trio. Let's speak about Lal, Bal, Pal. So let's see who is the Lal, Bal and Pal over here. Okay, Lala Lajpat Rai, the educational and forceful writer. He wrote magazines, The Young India. He wrote books like A Call to Young India, Indians Debt to India, and Political Future of India. He wrote a lot of books over there, and he started even Vande Mataram, a weekly for the people in Punjab. He was a social reformer. He worked politically outside India also. Coming to Bal Gandharva Tilak. Now Bal Gandharva Tilak, you know, was a Maharashtrian, and we know that the Ganpati festival what we now celebrate was started by Tilak during that era. Now this Ganpati festival was conducted, or it was to bring all religions people to come together. He wanted this nationalism to spread against a lot of people. So he used religious policies to awake the nationalism amongst the people. And some of his things were he demanded for Swaraj, he preached nationalism, and he established Home Rule League. Okay, so some things what the Tilak was the forerunner of Gandhi. Let us also remember that Gandhi was very impressed by Tilak, and he proposed, or he was for Tilak's policies. He supported Tilak's policies. Okay, coming to Bipin Chandra Pal, as I told you, Bal, one of the three over there. This is a Pal of that three over there. He was a journalist, and he worked as a journalist for Bengal Public Opinion, the Tribune and New India. He was a national education. He wanted national education to be the basis of freedom movement. He took the following efforts to remove the social evils from the society. He opposed caste system, he advocated widow remarriage, he supported women's education, he stressed to develop indigenous industries. He proposed to tax rich more than the poor. He demanded for 48 hours of work in a week and increase wages. These were the issues which he tackled. So summing up, here we spoke about the second phase of the national movement, and a few assertive nationalists we discussed about this. Thank you.